Best-selling author and consultant Patrick Lencioni has a long-standing practice in his business of only hiring people who possess all three of the following characteristics. They have to be hungry, they have to be people smart, and they have to be humble. That practice has worked so well for Lencioni's company that he decided to write a book a few years ago about it called The Ideal Team Player. In it, he talks about how it can be challenging as leaders to try to figure out if people do in fact have those characteristics, particularly when it comes to humility. Lencioni says when it comes to teamwork, humility is an invaluable characteristic. He says that great team players lack excessive ego and concerns about status. They're quick to point out the contributions of others and slow to seek attention of their own. They share the credit. They emphasize team over self, and they define success collectively rather than individually. It should come as no surprise then, says Lencioni, that humility is the single greatest and most indispensable attribute of a team player. In his book, Lencioni tells a fable about a company that's trying to do a lot of hiring. They're a construction company, and they're interested in one particular executive who's actually retired from another construction company. They quickly figure out that he's hungry and he's people smart, but they struggle to determine if he's humble. They genuinely like him, but something doesn't seem quite right. And it can be a real challenge for us as leaders to tell if people are in fact humble, but there are a few clues that you can be looking for. For example, do they take credit for success themselves, or do they share it with others? Do they treat all people the same? In Lencioni's fable, the executive in question fails to learn the name of the receptionist, despite having had several opportunities to have done so. And finally, do they use terms like I and me, or do they say we and us? At the end of the day, humility on your team is going to look like the behavior that you model as the leader. If I was to ask you how you would score yourself on a 1 to 10 scale when it comes to humility, what number would you give yourself? I have to confess that in much of my career, my score would be on the lower end of the scale. Now, I've improved a bit in recent years, but I also realize that I'm very much a work in progress. And I've also learned that there are several things that we as leaders can do to help us improve our performance in the humility area. First of all, listen to your team members. Listen to all the people around you. When you give your undivided attention to others, you're showing that their agenda is tops on your priority list. Check yourself on how you listen. Do you stop what you're doing and actually pay attention? Do you give eye contact and maintain it throughout? And do you ask questions to reflect the fact that you are listening and to try to clarify for understanding what people are truly saying? When you listen to other people, you're saying, you really matter to me. Seek first to understand. Don't rush to judgment about other people's motivations. In fact, take time to authentically explore why people really feel the way that they do. Be genuine in your intention to understand where they're coming from. Be open to suggestions. No matter how good your idea is, it can always be made better. The very best cultures are the ones where leaders have created an environment where people feel free to express their opinions at all times, even when those opinions are contrary to those of the leaders. And when we do that, if everyone has felt that they've been heard and that their opinion is valued, they're much more likely to buy into the direction of the team, even if they disagree with it initially. Be vulnerable, admit your mistakes. That's one of the best ways to build credibility as a leader. When you're willing to be that person, when you're willing to say, I was wrong, I made a mistake, I don't know the answer to that, other people on the team will do the same way. And that's how you ultimately build trust on your team. Tend to the needs of others. In surveys, it shows regularly that employees really want their leaders to know what's going on in their lives and to care about the challenges that they face. Now, that doesn't mean you have to get deep into people's personal stuff, but you should be aware of what those concerns and challenges are. And people should feel that you're there to support them, that you have their back, and that you'll help them overcome some of those challenges in their life. Empower them to do their job. In one of the leadership courses that I take, I ask a question: what have bosses done to demotivate you? The number one answer is always micromanaging. People want to be self-directed. They want that autonomy to do the job, to do the task that you've assigned them in a way that suits them the best. Give them clear direction. Let them know that you're there to support them through it and help them with challenges. And then get out of the way and let them do the job to the best of their ability. And finally, give credit to others. The other thing that employees really hate is when the manager takes credit for what they feel is their work. Not only should you want people to get the credit, you should be the leader in showering well-deserved praise on others. Remember that humility does not rob you of your power. It actually enhances your authority. True humility requires courage and trust in your abilities and your work as a leader.